That is quite interesting. The northern people has threatened that there will be no election in Nigeria, that should Tinubu go ahead and appoint a retired appeal court judge to replace Mahmoud Yakubu as the INEC boss, definitely there will not be election in this country. That Nigeria should forget about election. That there have been rumors spreading of recent that by November, Tinubu has intention of replacing Mahmoud Yakubu by a notorious judge. The name withheld. He said that this rumor is peddling and is gathering momentum. There is an impending doom, of course, ahead of Nigeria. If this notorious judge, as he described this particular judge, who has been known for his notorious, deceptive, of course, character and disposition, to become the INEC boss that will superintend over 2027 presidential election, then he says Nigeria should forget about the election because definitely there will be no election. What the APC or Tinubu administration is trying to do is to invite another civil war in Nigeria. That under the circumstances, he prays that this rumor, of course, of appointing a recently retired appeal court judge who he described as a notorious entity or personality to man, of course, as superintendent over INEC. Definitely, it is a perfect plan to rig the 2027 election. But this time, he says, there is no need of going to election because there will be no election. He prays the rumor do not reflect, of course, the intention of Tinubu. But if that happens, we are not going to allow this. The North is speaking with a very decisive position. It is no longer an issue of course, trying to make swears. They are warning Tinubu administration, Tinubu's maneuvering strategy, according to Buba Galadima, a chieftains of the New Nigerian People's Party, is making this very clearly that if this eventually is what Tinubu is trying to play, of course, in preparation for what he considers as a rigging strategy for the 2027 election, Nigerians won't accept it. In particularly, the North cannot accept such again. Otherwise, he shouldn't prepare for the election. This is what he said. Let me just read an excerpt of that. If this man is appointed INEC chairman, then forget about election in Nigeria because there will be no election in this country and it will create chaos. He maintains the North is not giving any chances to the current administration to rig the election. Comes 2027, he understood as an opposition party, there is an intention that is planned on ground, of course, that whosoever that will succeed Yakubu Mahmoud must be somebody that is loyal to the core, to this current administration. And as such, we want to compensate such person with the position of INEC chairman because they are going to do the bidding of the president according to his claim. Now he has accused even the current INEC boss, Yakubu Mahmoud, that might possibly be winding up or retiring in active service by November. Yes, it's less than, of course, 40 or how many days from now, he will be retiring. Less than 60 days from now, he will be retiring. And the replacement, the government already is sourcing for his replacement, and possibly there have been revelations or rumor spreading that Tinubu has intention of replacing the INEC boss with such notorious judge whose antecedents, of course, is before the public domain. That is his argument. And the Nigerians, most importantly, the North, will not watch this happen. It is a declaration of war. It is an invitation of war on Nigeria. Should Tinubu dares to appoint this recently retired judge, name with head, and that is his position. Well, that is quite an interesting development. You know, Tinubu have declared before now that there is no vacancy in Asarok, and these are weightier, heavier ways. These are weightier ways that could not be just dismissed uh, by a wave of hands. When Tinubu makes certain statements, of course, the opposition should sleep over and the statement, wake up and think, reflect what that implies. It means no come rains, come shine is not going to step out of Asharok. Meanwhile, he is not sleeping. You recall, prior to 2023 election, Tinubu argued, of course, and maintained that he's going to fight dirty. He's ready to fight dirty. And indeed, of course, the rest is history. Nigeria saw that and eventually happened. But now the North are saying, you are going to fight dirty because you had our backing. But today, comes 2027, we have deserted you. The alliance with the North has been severed. So there is no way you could repeat the same uh, maneuvering or manipulations comes 2027. We are waiting you at that particular junctions. We understood, of course, we are part of the conspiracy that brought you into office. But now we are going to teach you a lesson that we, the North, understands your strategies, your manipulative tendencies, and how you go about your rigging machineries and strategies, placing them in strategic positions. But we've gotten an intel and we are exposing you ahead of time that if this happens, definitely is an invitation of another civil war in Nigeria. But in order to avoid that, in fact, that possibility, that Tinubu must be cautioned, of course, not to go in contradictions with the provisions of the law, that you can't just appoint a retiring appeal court judge to preside over the INEC and superintend over this coming election that is of interest to even the northern people. We can't allow that to happen. But if that happens, then Tinubu's administration is inviting another civil war. Definitely, Tinubu will dare, of course, the North. He might go ahead with whatever intentions and programs he may have, but then not giving a dime what could be, of course, the feelings of the North or what could be the reactions of the North. But at this time, I think caution should be applied because the North are not joking about these realities today. And let's just read some more of the excerpt of this uh, interview with Arise TV has been summarized here. Just listen. The Nigerian People's, the new Nigerian People's Party (NNPC) chieftain Buba Galadima has warned that Nigeria could face civil unrest if the federal government goes ahead with an alleged plan to appoint a retired Court of Appeal judge as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, as the INEC boss. These are his arguments, which he logically, of course, presented. You see, Galadima said that there were widespread rumors that the government was considering the appointment of the retired judge. He said there were widespread rumors that the government were considering the appointment of the retired judge, whom he described as notorious. This informed his position, and it is quite interesting that in every rumor there is an element of truth. And this element of truth has brought us to this moment of complacency, which definitely will could no longer continue to live in denial. For this intel or rumor to have leaked, possibly by becoming from a very verifiable source for the likes of Galadima to, of course, to blow the whistle ahead of time, you know, to tell Tinubu that we understood your calculations, your strategies, we are at your doorstep. We are monitoring you back to back. Of course, in every step you take or whatever be the intentions, you are nursing to consolidate your election bid or by way of rigging or subverting the will of the people as he maintains comes 2027. As the North has vowed that Tinubu is one term presidents. And Tinubu have taken up the challenge that, well, I would dare the North. There is no vacancy in Asorok. And how could that be possible? Well, let's get on with this exposition. Now, you see, come November, there are rumors all over the place that the government is nominating a just retired Court of Appeal judge who is known for notoriety to be the INEC chairman, to chairman the INEC. Do you get that? Now, you said, I wish it is not true. Because if that man becomes the INEC, the chairman of the INEC, okay, be rest assured that this government is inviting a civil war in this country. Gradima maintained that if eventually that happens to be true, that Tinubu's administration be rest assured that that notorious judge eventually presides over INEC and the superintendent over the elections already, the rigging plan has been perfected. That this man is considered as a notorious, considering his antecedents, definitely will rig the election in favor of the ruling party, and Tinubu in particular. He said, I wish it is not true. Because if that man becomes the chairman of INEC, be rest assured that this government is inviting a civil war in this country. Wow, this is very hot. Things are getting more hotter than you could envisage. This is a breaking point for Nigeria. In fact, Nigerians are not willing to take any nonsense from this current administration again, despite the affirmation or the propaganda being spread by Tinubu's administration, there is no vacancy in Rock and the rest of them, that he's going to teach the North the lesson they will learn. He's going to beat them silly. You know what that means? You see, Tinubu is a master strategy as far as Nigerian politics is concerned and ready to play it dirty, ready to say, I'm ready to play dirty, yeah, of course, and he may not have changed his strategies and positions and convictions as whatever happens in terms of course, pursuing his aspirations and the rest of them. We've seen the video that went, of course, snatch it, grab it, and run with it, whatever that means to you. That power is not given, but taken. Of course, that is what he is telling his own people, boosting their morals to be willing, of course, to do whatever is possible to grab it, to snatch it, and run with it. And now he is presiding as the president of Nigeria under his corporacies to appoint an INEC boss. You know what that means. And it will be a challenging moment for Nigeria. And we do hope, of course, that peace will be given a chance to reign in this country. Otherwise, where else, of course, will the people be scoring for safety? We don't envisage, of course, that possibility of war, but then the politicians must apply caution because it is very important at this particular time. People aren't giving up. They don't want. What people need is to create an enabling environment. People should be given equal opportunity. Let there be transparency and the space of justice, equity, and fairness in the conduct of the election. And whosoever that must come or preside over the INEC as the INEC boss must be an impartial personality, somebody who has no any political alignments or, of course, sentiments. Is somebody who is there to serve the cause of justice and whose record and antecedents is very clear, not somebody who has criminal or criminating, of course, personality or antecedents, just as Buba Galadima is raising an alarm ahead of time. And going forward, this is what he has to say. It's an interesting moment, of course, in the Nigerian politics as things continue to build up. It is getting more interesting, honestly, because both the ruling party and the oppositions are putting up momentum to make sure they dislodge any other person at the slightest opportunities. Now, he accused the current administration of disregarding the rule of law and claimed that INEC, under its present leadership, was already compromised in favor of the ruling All Progressive Congress. You know, when Mahmoud Yakubu was to be appointed as the INEC chairman, people raised concern that this was once acting national chairman of APC and the rest of them. You know, with all the rumors and propagandas that meant to cover up and the rest of them, eventually Mahmoud was compensated with the office of the chairman of INEC, despite the uproar, the outcry, the alarm raised by Nigerians and the rest of them. Of course, Buhari went on to appoint Yakubu Mahmoud to preside over the INEC. And eventually we saw what played out according to his position. He said the INEC chairman has already triggered the election. I mean, the INEC chairman has already rigged the election for APC. Now, these are his points. He said they brought somebody that is the secretary to the party, okay, secretary to the party, that went to court for APC as acting national chairman. Do you get it? A secretary to the party and went to court as acting national chairman. And he was rewarded with chairman of INEC. He alleged. Of course, it's time to bust their brains to expose, of course, their dirty learnings and the secrets they once shared together, they once covered together. They are now bringing it out for Nigerians to see what played out in the secret, all these cover-ups and the rest of them. You know, they not supported Tinubu's administration 2023, but today they are packing out and eventually whatever they once held as secret, of course, will be let out of the bag. That is just exactly what is played out now, and you shouldn't be surprised. Of course, it's a moment of interest which everybody must pay attention to follow up these trending events. Galadima said such developments threaten the credibility of Nigeria's electoral system and could destabilize the country if allowed to continue. He maintains now they are not serious and committed, of course, to free, credible, free, fair, and credible election. They are not advocacy of free, fair, and credible election. That is quite interesting. But when they had opportunity, of course, to do whatever they think is at their own interest or would defend their own interests, they don't care about fair, credible, and transparent elections. Well, that is quite interesting. If this man is appointed INEC chairman, then forget about election in Nigeria because there would be no election in this country and it will create chaos. He maintains, and this is quite interesting development. Honestly, let's have your own take with this uh, topic of discourse. You can express your own reactions via the comment section. Let's begin the discussion, the political discussions, analysis, and of course, drawing inference from what has transpired in the past, the current, and what we could envisage in the near future, possibly as 2027 keep loading and uncertainty engulfing the atmosphere. Thanks for watching.